The SCP Foundation has discovered its fair share of mysterious places and unusual vessels over the years, and the eerie tale of SCP-2933 was no exception. After a series of missing persons reports all led to the same strange, partially submerged steel structure in a saltwater reservoir, the Foundation took it upon themselves to investigate the potential anomalous activity therein. Of course, they selected a D-Class for the task. After all, there could be something dangerous inside. So D-13321 was charged with investigating the structure. He was outfitted with a camera, microphone, and transmitter that would allow him to communicate with the nearest Foundation site. Next, he was taken out into the reservoir on a speedboat and dropped off at the entrance to the structure. The exterior was heavily rusted and decrepit, as if it had been there for quite some time. But what exactly was it? How did it get here? And what about it was causing so many people to vanish? It was D-13321's job to find out. D-13321 walked through the open entryway, already anxious about what awaited him inside. He established contact with Command back at the Foundation site, who confirmed they could hear him and encouraged him to proceed. He paused for a moment, noting the pervasive smell of oil hanging in the air. Was it safe? What exactly was he walking into? They had told him nothing prior to assigning him this task. Command refused to answer the question, urging him again to proceed further into the entryway. It was not a request. With no other options save for the risk of termination for refusing to follow orders, D-13321 did as he was told. The open entryway had not been there previously, but had been created by Foundation staff engineers the day prior. He would be the very first person to walk inside, as far as he knew. Upon entering, the first thing he saw was absolutely nothing. It was pitch black, so dark he couldn't even see his own hand in front of his face. Command advised him about the flashlight in his pack, and he fished for it with trembling hands. The moment seemed to stretch on forever, him alone in the blackness, the crackle of the transmitter, the slosh of the water outside, and the echo that filled the dark expanse inside. The smallest sound seemed to reverberate through the whole place, bouncing off the walls and warping like the sound of the ocean in a seashell. He couldn't be sure what sound was real and what was a trick of the ear. Was that creaking sound his imagination? Or the metal about to splinter and give way above his head? Was that a whisper he heard? Or was it just some ordinary environmental noise sending that panicked chill down his spine? His hand grasped the flashlight, and he clicked it on, illuminating the room with a small sliver of light. It was like a drop in a deep, dark bucket, but at least it was better than nothing. He could see his surroundings now, though there wasn't much comfort to be taken from that fact. The room he was in was metal, all metal. The walls were vast, solid sheets of it, while the floors were metal grates. All of it was coated in varying degrees of rust, filling the space with the sharp tang of iron. Like blood, he thought briefly, with a sinking feeling in his stomach. He shook his head, cutting himself off mid-thought. No need to go there. This could all still turn out to be perfectly fine, and maybe unicorns were real, and the clouds were made of cotton candy. The smell thickened, clinging to the inside of his nose. There was no danger here that he could see, but the longer D-13321 stood here, the more a sense of foreboding crawled across his skin, settling into his bones until dread was all he felt. Maybe it was worth it to try and run, to risk being terminated by the Foundation, but for all he knew, they'd come up with some special new way to punish his insolence. Maybe throw him to SCP-682 as a chew toy. The voice of Command broke through his bleak daydream as they asked him to describe his surroundings. They could see the rusted metal walls, the great floor. They asked if he could hear anything. He listened hard for a moment. There was that strange mix of sounds reverberating through the place, just as there had been since he stepped inside. But beneath that, he could almost hear something else if he concentrated. Something that might have been a voice, but it was too faint, too lost in the cacophony of everything else to be certain. He reported as much to Command. His voice was wavering a bit in spite of himself. Try as he might, he could not suppress the fear that had taken hold of him. Command noticed it too. They asked if he was feeling all right. He shook his head. There was something bad in here. He didn't know exactly what or where, but every cell in his body was screaming at him to run as fast and as far away as possible. He could hear another sound, a screechy, scraping grind of metal on metal. Command prodded at him, pointing out his history of performing without any issue, even on high-stress assignments. He couldn't help himself. He snapped back at them. Because on other assignments, I always felt like I could get myself out of a bad situation. Something's different about this. He held his breath for a moment, waiting for the admonishment to come. Instead, Command simply said, "Acknowledged. Please proceed." He took a deep, shuddering breath and placed a hand on his chest, just between his ribs. His mother had taught him this trick as a young boy, a way to settle his nerves when he woke up with a start in the middle of the night screaming about a monster under the bed or in the closet. It worked well enough when it came to imaginary monsters, but during his time at the SCP Foundation, he had learned the uncomfortable truth. Monsters were all too real, and the shadows were crawling with them. But there was no other choice here. He had to keep moving forward. As he did, he spoke to Command, attempting to drown out his racing thoughts with his own voice. He attempted to describe the sound from earlier, that continuous metal against metal sound, that rusty groan. Command asked for more specifics, but he struggled to find the words. The echo was too loud to pick out any one sound and dial in on it. Maybe it was all in his head anyway. Hard to tell for certain. He kept walking, deeper and deeper into the darkness, with only the slim beam of the flashlight to guide him. The voice on the other end of his communicator grows fainter, lost in a haze of crackling static. Command advises him to turn back and head to the surface as soon as possible, lest they lose contact entirely. That was the permission he'd been looking for. He was perfectly happy to let his amygdala take the driver's seat and steer him the hell out of there. He turned around, heading back the way he came. He walked in a straight line to get this far, so it should have been easy enough to make his way back. But after making his way down the hallway for what felt like ages, he found himself face to face with a dead end. A rusted metal wall where the exit should have been. Did he take a wrong turn somewhere? No, that was impossible. He hadn't taken any turns at all. He muttered a curse under his breath. This place was changing, shifting all around him. The halls had moved around somehow, and now the exit wasn't where he left it. Time to try a different route. He turned away from the dead end and continued around the first bend he could find. He knew he was deep inside of the structure, on one of its lower levels, if it had formal levels at all at this point. Maybe there was some sort of staircase or ladder he could follow to get out. At this point, he was willing to try anything. After walking for about an hour, he stopped to catch his breath. He could feel a tickle in his throat suddenly, a blockage in his chest, like he had something nasty he needed to cough up. Once he started coughing, it was hard to stop. The force of it caused him to double over, muscles aching from the effort. He coughed up whatever it was into his hand. It was dark, reddish-brown, and smelled of iron. Blood? No. Rust. Well, that certainly couldn't be a good sign. Better keep up the effort to find an exit, and soon. But the further he walked, the more the notion of escape seemed impossible. He found staircases, but they only ever led down. He would try to double back and walk down halls he had already seen, only to find that they had changed or disappeared entirely. As he walked, the D-Class thought about a story he had read once in a great big book of myths at the library, Theseus and the Minotaur. It told the tale of a hero lost in a seemingly impossible labyrinth with a monster inside. Theseus had been able to navigate the labyrinth with the help of a ball of yarn given to him by the princess. D13321 would have given anything for a ball of yarn at that moment. Instead, he just had his flashlight and his rapidly failing communication system. As for the possibility of a monster lurking in here with him, well, better not think too hard about that. The more he walked, the deeper it started to sink in. There was no way out of here. The whole structure was designed to prevent anything that entered from coming back out. The only way to go from here was down. Idly, the man scratched his cheek and came away with flakes of rust on his hands. Speaking of hands, the backs of them were covered in rust too, a coating of it that hadn't come from the walls or the ceiling. It was coming from the skin itself. Whatever had rusted the walls and the floor and the air of this place was inside of him. He was rusting right along with it. He informed command of his condition. They asked if he was all right. He almost laughed at the question, but instead he answered, "Been doing this for a while, boss. Got lucky enough to make it this far. Figured it would roll around to me eventually. I'll keep the comms and camera online." Command thanked him and said something not many D-classes have come to hear. "I'm sorry, but it wasn't their fault. It was no one's fault, really, except whoever built this godforsaken place." He asked Command to relay his dying words to his loved ones, make sure they knew he was thinking of them even now, as this giant metal labyrinth grew hotter and hotter around him, even as the rust wore him away. The itching was starting to turn into a burn, deep down below the surface of the skin where no scratching could soothe it. Eventually, he reached a massive room, deep in the bowels of the structure. He could hear something shuffling around inside. He swung his flashlight in its direction and gasped at the sight. It was a person, or something that looked like one, at least. When it spoke, its voice was metallic and distorted.
"Hello there!"
It screamed as if hit with a sudden, unbearable agony. Then, it spoke again.
"Sorry for all the commotion."
The D-Class asked the entity who it was. It responded.
"Me? My name is Mr. Smiles."
It groaned, a loud, low, metallic sound.
"I apologize. It's just everything hurts so much, you know." "Yes, Mr. Smiles. Right here, on my leg. See?"
The D-Class peered at the entity's leg and could make out words in the rust. They read, "Mr. Scary, property of the factory." The entity scratched at the rust, revealing skin underneath, and a tattoo that instead read, "Mr. Smiles, from Little Misters by Dr. Wondertainment." The D-Class asked the entity what it was doing here, and what this place was.
"My father built this for me. He told me
It interrupted itself to scream again for a moment.
Sorry. He told me that it would keep me safe. Or keep people safe from me. I can't really remember. Now everything just hurts. But it's okay. My father told me oh God, I'm sorry. He would come back for me once he was finished. He needed me for something, and I wanted to be the best son I could be, right?
The D-Class interrupted. Hang on. What do you mean by he needed you for something? Needed you for what?
Yes. See, Father was very sick. The rust was inside him, so he promised me that if I took the rust from him, then he would make smiles for everybody. That's what was important, that everybody was smiling. After he gave me the rust, he was afraid, you know. There's something about the rust that it really terrifies him. He didn't even want to look at me. That is fine though, I understand completely.
Pushing down the horror at the sight of this poor creature, the D-Class asked how long it had been here.
A while. I didn't really expect everything to hurt this badly, to tell you the truth. But my father is out there making smiles right now, and he'll come back for me someday soon, and we'll be together again. Just you wait.
D-13321 held up his arm, asking if the entity, Mr. Smiles, as it called itself, could do anything to help.
Oh, nothing you can do about that. The pain really only gets worse from there too. Once you've got the rust inside you, it just spreads and spreads until there's nothing left. Just oil and smoke and rust.
With nothing else to do, D-13321 took a seat next to Mr. Smiles. Wish he had anything to distract from what was coming.
Can you feel the rust inside you?
That marked the cessation of manned exploration into SCP-2933. The structure was designated SCP-2933-1, and Mr. Smiles received the designation of SCP-2933-A. No one, under any circumstances, may enter SCP-2933-1. Ordinarily, breaking this rule would result in immediate termination by the Foundation, but due to the effects of SCP-2933-1, that pretty much takes care of itself. Once a month, a small automated surveillance drone will enter the vessel in order to evaluate the condition of SCP-2933-A. He is still in there, where he was before, groaning and weeping from the pain of the rust inside of him. His condition is not expected to change anytime soon. There is nothing anyone can do for him. Wait, what's happening? What's that interference? Congratulations! You've discovered your very own Little Mister, a limited edition collectible from the workshop of Dr. Wondertainment. You've discovered Mr. Scary. But can you collect them all? Mr. Chameleon, Mr. Headless, Mr. Laugh, Mr. Forgetful, Mr. Shapy, Mr. Soap, Mr. Hungry, Mr. Brass, Mr. Hot, Miss Sweetie, Mr. Life and Mr. Death, Mr. Fish, Mr. Moon, Mr. Red, Mr. Money, Mr. Lost, Mr. Lie, Mr. Mad, Mr. Stripes, and Mr. Collector. That last one is you if you can track down each and every one of them. Happy hunting! Where did that signal come from? No one should have access to these channels. Can we get a security check on this? Please don't listen to that advertisement. The SCP Foundation does not condone collecting the Dr. Wondertainment Little Misters. Some of them are perfectly harmless, but others, well, you know. Maintain a safe distance. And let us tell you all about them here on SCP Explained instead. Now go check out all the Little Misters Explained, or SCP-1007, Mr. Life, and Mr. Death.